Hello, everyone, and welcome again to Elevating Your Life. So happy to have you with us today. We are going to be chatting today about something that just absolutely fascinates me, near-death experiences. It just an amazing topic. I have an amazing guest today. She is Alyssa Hope. She is a renowned spiritual motivational, healer, speaker, and writer. She is the author of the book Hope from Heaven. Having died during a routine procedure during the time CPR was being performed on her, her soul left her body and she traveled to heaven, where she came face to face with God, being given a choice of staying in heaven or returning to her life with an important purpose. Alyssa chose the purpose, and her mission is to make heaven a place on earth by enlightening everyone. And this is fascinating. Your story is fascinating. First off, I want to say welcome, Alyssa. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me, Paula. It's my pleasure.
Oh, thank you. Well, I would love you to share a bit of your background and kind of, where this all began. Tell us about that near-death experience that you had, and then what prompted you to write your book about it.
Right. Okay. So my near-death experience happened when I was 14 years old, when I was a teenager, and my mom, she was going to be going through a divorce. So my dad was not giving her the money that he usually did for her to take me to my regular dentist to have a cavity filled. So instead, a clinic just opened up a couple minutes away from my house. And my mother took me to the clinic to have my cavity filled. And obviously, I mean, who knows if he was even really a licensed dentist or not, but he gave me too much nitrous oxide gas, which it cut off my oxygen supply. And I had no pulse, and he confirmed that I was dead. They were giving up almost on CPR because they just could not get a pulse back. They kept doing the CPR and there was still no pulse. But during the time that CPR was being performed on me, my soul left my body and traveled to heaven. It traveled through a long, dark, speeding tunnel, and it seemed to go on for miles and miles. And then finally, at the end of the long, dark, speeding tunnel, it opened up into the brightest light. And my three guardian angels were waiting for me in the light. And they told me that I was safe with them in heaven. And they told me that I died at the dentist and they were sent to wait for me in the light. And they gave me a choice of staying in heaven or returning to my life with an important purpose. Obviously, I chose the purpose, but they wanted me to stay with them in heaven because they said if I stayed with them, I would have so much more peace and happiness and love in heaven than if I chose to return to my life. And they said if I did choose to come back to my life, that they said in exchange for allowing me to go back to my life, that it was going to be very challenging, but that they would be sending me back with an important purpose. So, I wasn't sure what to do, because part of me wanted to stay in heaven where I felt just this glorious amount of light and love, and it was just so beautiful. But then the other part of me, I kept saying, I have to go back. My mom really needs me. My mom really needs me. So my guardian angel said to me, they said, your mom, of course, she'll be very hurt. They said, but in time, she'll be okay in time. They said, you'll only get this one chance to stay here in heaven, or you're going to be back, on earth for many, many years. So they told me to think very carefully. And they said, before I made up my mind, they said, we want to show you one last thing. And they showed me what my funeral would be like had I chose to stay in heaven and not return to my life. And everybody, of course, was very upset and sad at my funeral. But my mother, she was so inconsolable. She kept throwing herself on top of my casket, and she was crying and begging and pleading. She was saying, don't leave me, Alyssa. Please come back. Don't leave me, my baby. So I said to my guardian angel, see, my mom really needs me. I have to go back. And then there was this big white door. And my guardian angel said to me, if you pass through this door, there is no going back. Then you have to stay here. And they said, you'll be so surprised, so amazed at what is behind this door. So much more of glorious heaven and who is behind the door. So again, I even said, okay, I think I'll stay, I said. But then again, I saw my mother at my funeral throwing herself on top of my casket, screaming, crying my name over and over again. And then all of a sudden, I hear footsteps, and God walks over to me. And God said, what's the matter, my child? Why are you crying? Why are you so upset? And I said, I have to go back. My mom really needs me. So God said, I understand. And he turned to my guardian angels and he said, send her back immediately. And he said to me, but I'm sending you back with a very important purpose. And he said, once your soul is back in your body, you will not remember what your purpose is for a very long time. He said, because you're much too young now to handle such a big responsibility. I was only 14 years old. So, I kind of, agreed that at 14, I was just too young to handle that kind of responsibility of being God's messenger here on earth. So my soul, when it went back through that long speeding tunnel, just before my soul was back in my body, I felt and heard CPR being done on me. And the dentist, he was hysterical and he was crying and he was screaming, we can't give up. Don't stop. We can't give up. We have to bring her back. She's only 14. Don't give up. So the dental hygienist, she was still doing, and I felt the thrusts on my chest and the breaths in my mouth. And then maybe like 8 seconds later, I heard the hygienist say, there's a pulse now. We have her back. And the dentist said, thank God. So I said, and this is funny, I said to him, I already did, thank God, personally. So I said to him, what happened? I was just in heaven, I said. And the dentist said, I believe it. He said, you were gone. He said, you had no pulse. You were gone. And he even asked me if I forgive him. And I said, I did, because I knew it was an accident. And he couldn't even finish, he didn't finish filling my cavity. And he just told my mother, he said something went wrong with the nitrous oxide. I couldn't finish filling her cavity. He said, have her go home and lay down. And if she does not feel well, take her to the emergency room or the doctor. Because, my mother and I, several years later on the news, we heard that a 17-year-old girl from the Bronx, she died the same way, having a cavity filled at the dentist, and she was given too much nitrous oxide, and they revived her too. And then when she went home and she went to sleep that night, she was dead in the morning. So why, the dentist said that if I don't feel well, just to take me right to the emergency room. So I actually, for the rest of the day, I was very, very nauseous. I didn't feel well, but I was only 14. So, I didn't want to go to the hospital, but I did go with my best friend, Amy, to get her hair cut. And I told her what happened. I told her everything that happened at the dentist. And I said, don't be afraid to die. I said, because I died and I met God and I got sent back to my life. So Amy, this is typical teenager talk. She said, wow, that's so cool. Thank you for telling me. Now I won't be afraid to die, So, but I didn't even tell my mother what happened until several years later, when we did see what happened to that 17-year-old girl in the news, that she died the same way. And that was when I told my mom that I died too. And I said to my mother, I came back for you. I said, you were the reason that I chose to come back to my life. And she said, thank God, because she said she would have died of a broken heart. So, and what's sad, very bittersweet now, is that my mother, who I came back from heaven for, she just died a couple months ago. So it's now I have to get used to her being in heaven and me here on earth, but she sends me incredible afterlife communication, which is very comforting to me. And also my beloved twin flame Todd, he died 3 years ago, and he sends me nonstop afterlife communication too. And I actually have on the website my YouTube video of Todd coming to me as my angel. You'll see the video. It's on my homepage on the bottom, and it's called A Visit from My Deceased Twin Flame, Angel Caught on Camera. It's very fascinating because there's so many birds circling all around my angel Todd, and birds are messengers of spirit. And 2 of those birds actually stayed with me, and they moved into my garage and they built a bird's nest, and they had their bird babies, on the 4th of May. And this was 3 years ago. And every spring they return to me, and they're here again now. So it's just so special to me.
Oh, I'm just so fascinated. Oh, I love the angel so much. I just can't imagine what that was like.
Right. It was incredible. I have to tell you, I have another video that I'm holding on to, and I will post it on my YouTube channel when the time is right. And I actually captured the spirit of God's spirit on there. And it was also with the birds circling all around the spirit of God. And I showed it to a priest and a rabbi, and they both confirmed that it's the spirit of God. So it's really incredible. Not only did I meet God face to face in person in heaven, his spirit came to me here on earth 2 times. But when I met God in heaven, he was in human form. And when God's spirit came to me 2 times here on earth, it was in spirit form.
Oh my goodness, so fascinating. So when you woke back up, did you remember everything right away, or did it take a little bit of time?
Right. I did not, as God told me that I would not remember my full purpose for being sent back here until the time was right. So so I did not remember all of it right away. So it was really over the years, like in bits and pieces, and who actually revealed my full purpose to me is my beloved twin flame, Todd. And Todd Irvin, he was a former supermodel turned psychologist, licensed and family marital therapist in Santa Monica, California. And he was very spiritual like me. And we were both, going to be getting divorced to get married when he died suddenly of a massive heart attack. And Todd was found deceased in his therapist chair after his last client left for the day. And, I get chills from this because my very last conversation with Todd, he said to me, he said, I did what I was sent here to do. He said, I served my purpose. I helped so many people being the best therapist that I could be. And that was our last conversation. And then he was found deceased in his therapist chair. So, that's pretty amazing, right? And Todd, the one who revealed my full purpose for being sent back here, he revealed it to me on the morning of his funeral, but it's in my book. So, you'll read all about it in my book, but it is just really fascinating.
So he revealed it. For those who aren't familiar with the term, explain to the audience what exactly twin flame is.
Right. Twin flame, it's one soul that was split into two bodies and share the same consciousness. And you only meet your twin flame in your last lifetime when your soul is very advanced and you're sent here as a light worker to raise the vibration of love and energy throughout the world. So it makes sense, that Todd was very spiritual and a psychologist and a licensed family marital therapist. And this is part of my purpose that Todd revealed to me for being sent back here, that not only I'm God's messenger, I'm also a light worker. And when you read in my book how he revealed it to me, it's just all really incredible.
So do you find yourself getting messages while you're dreaming as well?
Well, yes.
Your dreams.
Well, yes, all the time. I actually did not know that Todd had died when he came to me in a visitation dream, and he held me and he told me he loves me and will always be with me spiritually. And as soon as I woke up, I found out that he died. So you could imagine I was shocked and devastated. I collapsed, but then I said, and I was crying, I said, I didn't even get to say goodbye to him. But then I remembered that he just came to me in the visitation dream, and he was holding me and telling me he loves me and will always be with me spiritually. So, and then it was nonstop. All of his afterlife communication, it was just nonstop. And I still receive it from him all the time, and my mother too. I'll tell you one incredible thing about my mother. She passed away February 5th, 2023. And Todd and my anniversary is Valentine's Day. So you could imagine the day before Valentine's Day, I said, how am I going to get through Valentine's Day when my mother just died a week ago? And I'm grieving the loss of my mother, and I'm going to miss Todd so much on Valentine's Day too. How am I going to get through it? So I went to sleep after midnight, which that was Valentine's Day. And my mother came to me in a visitation dream. And she said to me, don't be so sad because I'm the happiest that I've ever been. And not only did I see how happy she was, I felt it. She was younger. She was out of her old, sick, tired, suffering body. And she was elated. She was beaming. She was glowing and smiling from ear to ear. So when I woke up, I wasn't, I had been crying every day for the past week up until that point because my mother, she was in my life for most of my life. So it was just a really hard loss. And I came back from heaven for her. But then when I woke up on Valentine's Day, I said, you know what? She just gave me such a gift. How can I be so sad when my mother told me, don't be so sad because I'm the happiest that I've ever been. And I have not cried since then. And I thought it was so beautiful. I said, leave it to my mother to come to me on Todd and my anniversary on Valentine's Day because she knew what a hard day it would be for me, not only missing Todd, but just grieving the loss of her too. So that's why I also wrote my book so people will know that their loved ones in heaven, they're always with them spiritually. True love never dies. It is endless. You leave your body behind physically, but spiritually, you're more alive than ever.
Yes, yes. I call this my physical vehicle. And
yeah,
I'm just gonna leave it parked here one day. And now,
that's of looking at it.
Yes. Alyssa, I understand that later this year you're going to Washington, D.C. to be a speaker.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Okay. It's for IANS, which stands for International Association for Near-Death Studies. And I just did a webinar for them about a month ago. So now the end of August, I'm going to be a guest speaker at the 2023 IANS conference in Washington, D.C. And then I'll be doing a book signing as well afterwards. So that will be fun to do.
Oh, that's going to be amazing. Oh, that conference sounds just fascinating. And there are so many near-death experiences that people experience. It's the numbers, it's amazing.
Yes. which should comfort everybody that your soul is eternal.
Yes.
And what everybody is here to serve and complete a purpose for God. And once you serve your purpose, that is when God calls you back home to heaven, to him. And, Mom, I was hoping that she would live long enough to be at my book signing in August. But when I saw that she wasn't going to make it, I actually brought a copy of my book and I placed it in her hands on her deathbed. And I took a video and pictures of it. And she was so happy, and now I actually have that picture. I framed it in my library and it's so special and it really comforts me.
Oh, that's so special. That's something to cherish. My goodness. Well, Alyssa, we just have a few more minutes left in the show. What last words do you want to share with everyone? And please share your website and any information like that you'd like to give us.
Oh, sure. Well, I'll hold up a copy of my book, Hope from Heaven. And it's available now for pre-order on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, And you can order it also on my author website at www.elissahope.com. That's ELISSAHOPE.com. And you can order it on my homepage. And then you can see my YouTube video too, a visit from my deceased twin flame, Angel Caught on Camera.
Oh, your experience is just so amazing, and it is just wonderful that you're sharing this information with others. My goodness.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
Oh, sure. That's, I'm dedicating the rest of my life now towards doing what I was sent back here to do, spiritual healing. I was always a very private person. I was never on social media. That's how private I am. But once my beloved twin flame Todd revealed my full purpose to me, that's when I said, I cannot be private anymore, and I have to get this book published and do what I was sent back here to do.
Oh, just amazing. Just amazing. I'm so grateful for all you've shared. And you know what?
Yeah.
That gives to so many of us that, are just curious and,
Right.
understand. And oh my goodness. Yeah.
Oh,
Myself,
that
I'm surrounded.
Right. I always say to know that one life has breathed easier because of you. That is purpose and my purpose. It just fulfills me so much. If I could just, if I can comfort people spiritually and truly make a difference in someone's life, that gives me, it just fulfills me beyond words, So
yes.
I'm so
And
yeah.
that can really make a difference for someone, hearing that information. And I love that there is, studies on near-death experiences, and, information is getting out there. That's so wonderful for all of us.
Yes, definitely.
Well, your book is going to be a gift for so many. That is wonderful that you've written that, Alyssa, and sharing your story. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And I will be writing a follow-up book in the near future.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I will look forward to that.
Great.
Everyone out there, thank you for joining us today. So grateful. Love, hugs, and blessings. Alyssa, love, hugs, and blessings. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you for having me. It was so much fun.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.